Jeff Goodman, ESPN basketball insider with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. You can find him at Goodman ESPN. All things that have to deal with the basketball, goodies all over it. And Goodman, last night's action between the Warriors and the Rockets, Steph Curry was brought back into the game after the concussion. And when he had the concussion, you reported if he comes back in, I would not put him back in the game if it was my decision. Your thoughts on seeing Steph Curry back in the game last night after he suffered that contusion?
I just wouldn't have done it. I mean, the downside far outweighs, to me, the upside. They're down. They're up in the series 3-0. Even if they lose, they've got command of this series. I know he passed all the tests, but, again, you just don't know what is going to happen over the course of that game when you put him back in. I just don't understand that. I don't. And, again, they didn't end up winning. So why not give him a couple of days to completely rest and make sure he's fine? And, you just don't know what's going to happen if he goes back in. What if something minor happens? He gets an elbow to the head and he's still kind of recuperating off the first, fall, which was pretty severe by the looks of it. And I'm glad he's okay. I hope he's fine. But you're up 3-0. What's the point? I mean, honestly, you've got to control this series.
Well, especially as good as he's been as well. Where do you stand? Is he the best, purest shooter the game has ever seen? Do you go that far?
I mean, listen, in my time of seeing guys over and over and over, and I've seen Steph since probably he was 15 years old, 16, well, probably 16 for the first time. And he's just gotten so much better in his overall game, but he's got such a great feel. He's so fun to watch. And that's what makes him different. Like, we love him as a shooter. He's probably as good as just about anybody. But I think what separates him is just the other stuff he's able to do. He's not a one-dimensional shooter. He can pass it. You look at him and you're blown away because he's so thin and he looks so frail and he's not a great athlete. So I put him right up there with anybody. Again, were there better pure shooters? Yeah, there probably have been as good, if not better, over the course of even our lifetimes. But again, he's special because he can do everything. I mean, the kid can do everything. His feel, his vision, his handle. Again, I tweeted the other night, he's such a high character, high IQ, just a good kid. And it's easy to really like and fall in love with Steph Curry as a player, as a kid.
ESPN basketball insider Jeff Goodman with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team.
Jeff, I'm watching the game last night, and I kind of wanted your opinion on this. I see Dwight Howard, turn around, wing the hand back, basically punch Andrew Bogut in the mouth, get a flagrant one. And in my mind, as soon as I saw that, after seeing Horford get the flagrant 2 for dropping the people's elbow on Dellavedova, I just assumed Dwight Howard was out. Was it that different of a situation, or is there a lack of consistency in those two calls?
Well, I think that's the problem, is you're seeing a lack of consistency among officials at the college level. They're better at the NBA level, but there's still a lot of inconsistency just, from ref to ref, from crew to crew, they're not consistent also in terms of when they call it. A call, we like to think they're going to be the same, whether it happens in the first few minutes or in the last few minutes, but that's not necessarily the case. And I'm kind of okay with that part of it. I just want there to be consistent calls across the board from refs to ref and crew to crew. But we can't. Listen, they're human. They're human. They're all going to kind of have their own style of officiating. So I don't think that's ever going to be the case. I mean, we're going to have these issues all the time in terms of, why didn't he get thrown out? Horford, and we also look at it as, hey, listen, Al Horford's one of the best guys in the NBA. That wasn't flagrant. It's Al Horford. Where we look at it with Dwight Howard, he's a punk. We have those preconceived notions with players. So I think that affects our thought process and whether a guy should get tossed or not.
Well, and another preconceived notion is that Dellavedova is a dirty player. How would you describe his game?
I've known Dellavedova a long time, man. He is a tough kid. I remember the first time I saw him, he was a young kid on St. Mary's when they had their veterans. They had Mickey McConnell. I think Connie Mills might even overlap for a year. and Dellavedova doesn't say a word. I mean, he is the quietest kid. I saw him like 2 weeks ago at the game in Chicago, Game 6, where he went off. And the kid he's just quiet. He's just matter of fact. You never know. He is the way he is, as tough and hard-nosed, but you can't blame a kid for diving on the floor, can you? I mean, like, the kid's diving, he's playing hard. He's not out there to hurt anybody. As I said when Kelly Olynyk hurt Kevin Love and took him out of the playoffs, listen, Brad Stevens told the Boston Celtics, you got to play harder than them. You have to play harder. You have to play tougher than Cleveland every play. Well, Dellavedova has to play harder and tougher just to keep a job in the NBA. He shouldn't even be in the NBA, according to most people. So he's got to dive for every loose ball. He's got to play tougher than everybody else, or else he's going to be in overseas, probably making a whole bunch of money in his native Australia. But he's earned a spot because of the edge that he plays with and just kind of the tenacity.
Yeah, I mean, his game kind of reminds me of Dan Marley's. Like, and we go, he's Thunder Dan. He's the man. He scraps all the time. Dellavedova does the exact same thing, and we're calling him dirty.
Yeah, I don't think he's dirty at all. But again, when you get tied up in a few different altercations, or you hurt a couple people, that's what happens. That's what happens. And again, what are you supposed to not play hard like Al Horford? He's supposed to not dive on the floor for the ball?
Yeah.
Come on. And I love Al, but I just think Al plays hard too. Now, he's not diving on the floor, and so you don't play with reckless abandon? There's something wrong with playing with reckless abandon. I don't buy that at all.
And I think you nailed it. That's how you describe it. Reckless abandon is how those guys play. ESPN basketball insider Jeff Goodman with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. LeBron went 0 for 9 the other night and then had a triple-double. What he's doing right now in the conference finals is just absolutely incredible. Does this speak to how good LeBron James is, along with the amount of guys on the roster that are hurt right now, Jeff?
Yeah, it just speaks to, like, he can do whatever he wants to impact the game. Whatever he wants. If he wants to shut guys down, he can do that. He wants to dunk on guys, he can do that. I mean, he comes now and he can drain threes, at a pretty good clip. We know he's had that feel forever, where he just kind of makes people better whenever he wants. But the key now is, like, for them winning it all, and they're gonna wrap up this series pretty soon here. But for them winning it all, he can't just rely on isolation. He's got to get more consistency from J.R. Smith, from Shumpert. Those guys, he's got to rely on them, because at the end of the game, it's hard because they can really pack it in, make it difficult for him to drive. Then he's relying on his three-pointer, which is not his strength, although he's gotten so much better at it. He's got to – those guys got to help him. Tristan Thompson's got to finish. Mozgov's been pretty good. There's enough there, but look at what he's done, taking away his top option, Kevin Love, and Kyrie's not going to be healthy the rest of this postseason.